When I was in grade school, we had these elections where those of us in the class would run for officers and become leaders of our class. I would get nominated every now and then, but I would never get many votes to become president. I got voted as PRO at one time, and there wasn't much prestige attached to it. And since then, I never aspired to be elected into any office or gain any elective position. No one would vote for me anyway. But then much later in life, I became a pastor. It was not something I planned to do. It was not something I aspired for or set my ambitions on. I simply responded to a need. It was a role that I had to take on quite reluctantly. I was part of a small church that lost its pastor, and because of our long relations with the other members of the church, consensus was reached that I be one of the people who should lead the church. And before long, I found myself performing the role of a pastor. But I could only do that because of the active support of the other leaders in the church. They were willing to take my lead. They were willing to submit to my leadership. And it was a sacred responsibility that I did not take lightly. I honored their submission by serving them with my whole life. And I realized then that leaders are only as good as the people who follow them. One cannot be a leader unless one has followers. And the kind of followers one has is quite a reflection of the kind of leader one is. The writer of the book of Hebrews knew this very well. That's why he wrote in his letter in the New Testament the following reminders to people in the church. He said, "Obey your leaders and submit to them, for they are keeping watch over your souls, as those who will have to give an account. Let them do this with joy and not with groaning, for that would be of no advantage to you." Followers are to obey their leaders and submit to them. This is not a license for leaders to abuse or lord it over the followers. This is good advice to people who are being led by good and conscientious leaders. Leaders who will eventually give an account to God for how they use their authority and responsibility. Being a follower is not such a bad thing if the leader is approved by God. So, under the best of circumstances, when you have a good leader working with very good followers, leadership is not a burden, but a joy. So, if you aspire to be a leader that is approved by God, that's a good thing. But first, aspire to be a good follower and pray that you serve under a very good leader. That's the next best thing, I can tell you. And as you set your sights on being a leader or a good follower, do keep in mind, faith matters.